This is the All Things Nerd Podcast, Season 4, Episode 10. On tonight's show, we talk about novel ideas. Well, we actually talk about Star Wars fans doing what Star Wars fans do and being in an uproar over new details that are released in the Rise of Skywalker novel. We're also going to talk about new details for the Last of Us TV series, as well as Taika Waititi taking over to do Willy Wonka. And lastly, dark matter. Does it exist? Well, science thinks it's found a culprit to why it does exist, and much, much more stuff. So with that, here's the intro. Hello to all the Geek Enthusiasts and Nerd Aficionados. This is Mess 5150, welcoming you back to another All Things Nerd podcast, recorded live every Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch, twitch.tv/Malice Corp. And you can check us out on our website at malice-corp.com for any previous episodes. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Mess 5150. And as we always like to open up this show, we start out with a little thing called Get Your Geek On.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Getting your geek on is the weird things, the odd things, the strange things that we've been doing this week to keep our nerd fancy going, our nerd inspiration going, whatever. Things that we think that you should be checking out or things that we think you should stay far away from. I'm going to touch on just one for myself, and that's because I brought it up last week, but I have since finished the entire series. There was a podcast that I was listening to called Newcomers, and Newcomers has Lauren Lapkus, and last week I couldn't remember Lauren Lapkus's name. This week I can't remember the other girl's name. Nicole Byer. They are watching all of the Star Wars films. They've never seen them before, and they're giving their reactions and their thoughts on them. And each episode, they have a friend come on the show and talk to them about what they liked about Star Wars and everything. It's a rough go if you're a Star Wars fan at the beginning, because they completely just trash the movies, like give no redeeming qualities to it or anything. But stick with it, because they start opening up a little bit more, start realizing why the fandom is what it is. And it does become a very, very good podcast to listen to. So
do they grow to love it over time?
No, but they understand. They understand why there's a love for it. That's the big thing. And the guests do get better. You don't have all the guests going, I don't think George Lucas directed any of the films. You have people that actually know stuff. Yeah, you have people that actually know stuff. Although I will say, if you're going to listen to the fan fiction episode, make sure there's nobody around you that can hear what you're listening to, because it gets very
I'm sorry, there's a fan fiction episode for a podcast about people that have never seen Star Wars,
and they write their own fan
already
fiction.
am out.
Yeah, they write their own fan fiction about, because that's the thing I've been geeking out on this week.
I'm internally bleeding.
Let's introduce other people here on the cast. We have Aaron on the cast. What have you been geeking out on?
Well, now I have to go check out this podcast, because normally I'm not into them, but it sounds interesting enough. But what I've been geeking out on is the same thing that I've been geeking out on for the past 2 solid months now. I'm catching up with you, Jim Butcher. I'm almost caught up with the
Yes. Oh. Okay, now be prepared to wait for another ever for the next book to come out. I've played this game before. I played it with Terry Goodkind when he was writing the Sword of Truth books. And so I'm expecting a long wait period, but the ride has been fantastic. So, in your opinion, where does this series rank in character development? Because I've read a lot of different series, and in this one, in my opinion, best character development I've ever seen, just from start to current.
Well, as a student of psychology, yeah, definitely. I mean, they don't have the overt character development that you see in a lot of fantasy novels. You don't see a very, very apparent and visceral wedge point where somebody diverts completely like they do.
No, it's more realistic.
Yeah, it's gradual over time. Things happen and they don't deal with them right away. It's not an immediate, oh, something bad happened, now I'm never going to do that again. It's a something bad happened, and 6 months or a year later, they're like, holy shit, that was terrible. What the hell am I doing now? Yeah,
Well,
so yeah,
like,
it's really.
I don't know what book you're up to. But
I am on. Let me see.
Because and edit out the dead space, but
Turncoat.
There's this turn. Which book is that? Which number?
12, I believe.
Okay, so I don't think she's there yet, but you see Molly go from a
Molly is
little.
Yeah.
She goes from an innocent little teenage girl to a literal force of nature at some point.
Oh yeah,
and
I have no doubt. Yeah,
it's gradual. It's gradual.
It's very excited to see where the rest of because they're setting up a lot of the characters for what I would imagine are going to be big things, and I'm excited to see that.
I can't wait for when he actually finishes that series.
Me too.
We can't wait for many. That's a common phrase with like really good series.
I can't wait for when Winds of Winter comes out.
Speaking of that, and moving on to the next person on the cast, we have IC Zora. What have you been geeking out on?
Okay, so weirdly, a lot of TV stuff. I've been catching up on the DC universe. I'm pretty much caught up on everything except for Black Lightning. I think I have 4 of them to watch. But like I hadn't watched any of that stuff since the major crossover, so it was kind of fun seeing how they all responded to it, and they all responded to it in very different ways. So that was interesting to see. I've been reading Craig Ferguson. You remember the guy that hosted the Late Late Show?
Yep, and he was the boss on Drew Carey Show.
On Drew Carey Show, absolutely. He's always been one of my favorite comedians / actors. I've been reading a lot of his stuff, and God, the guy is a really good writer as well. He wrote a literal novel called Between the Bridge and the River, about a quarter of the way into that. So I'm very interested in see what else he has to say, just as an author.
Nice. Jack Malice, our producer in the chat room, says he's been geeking out. He's prepping for another potential podcast for all you folks to check out if you like what we do here. They are going to do a Shadowrun game and an actual play podcast, so where you listen to the campaign get played out. So that's something that he's prepping and getting ready for, and you will probably recognize some of the voices on that cast as well as they do some of their characters. So keep an eye out for that when that comes up. Bearded Master. Oh, go ahead.
Can I just drop some knowledge about Craig Ferguson real quick?
Yes, absolutely.
For all of you nerds out there, you're gonna love this if you didn't already know. Craig Ferguson was actually in a 80s punk band with former Doctor Who Peter Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi is the guy that got him into drumming. They were in a band called the Dream Boys.
And
he said that Peter Capaldi is the guy that actually convinced him to drum full time.
Yep.
And that's what he did for most of the 80s.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I thought the nerds out there would love to hear that, because Craig Ferguson is a
12th Doctor.
12th, yeah.
12th, yes.
12th.
Prior to Jodie Whittaker, who's there right now.
Current,
yeah. But Craig Ferguson, huge Doctor Who fan, and I think it's kind of ironic that one of the biggest Doctor Who nerds on the planet would actually have played in a punk band with one of the former Doctors. That's awesome.
That's awesome. We have Bearded Master joining us on the cast this week. What have you been geeking out on, Bearded?
A few different things. I went through this week, and I actually went through the entire Jurassic. I don't know why, but I felt like a Jurassic Park binge. So I went through and watched all 5 Jurassic Park movies this week. Kind of enjoyed that.
There are not 5.
Yeah, there are 5.
No,
which one do you not count?
Which one? The 3rd and the 5th. There are only 3 of Jurassic Park movies.
Oh, gosh. Anyways, you know what I didn't realize about number 3 that I didn't realize when I first watched it is that the guy who's playing Billy is Castor Troy from Face Off, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
No,
that guy. I was like, "What?" Okay. What? Other than that, it's WrestleMania season. I am a wrestling fan, so with that, every March I always go through the entire catalog of WrestleManias and count down to WrestleMania Day. I think I just finished WrestleMania 5 yesterday, so we'll have going on from there 30 more to go before WrestleMania 36 in Tampa at the first weekend of April. But that's what I've been geeking out on, is wrestling, and more wrestling.
Nice. And lastly, joining us on the cast, his sporadic joining, because we like to have him on, but we can't always get him on because life gets in the way. But life is the most important thing. Nudie Rudy is here on the cast. What have you been geeking out on, Nudie?
Hey, what's going on, people? Glad to be back. Mainly been geeking out on a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2 lately, actually. Finally picked that up and been loving the crap out of that. Great freaking game. I can see why everybody loves it. Finished catching up on Ozark, getting ready for the new season coming up. Can't wait for that. And binged the crap out of Altered Carbon finally. Really wanted to catch that. Got a lot of good recommendations.
First season?
Both. I went right through first to
second.
I
haven't seen season 2 yet.
Days, yeah. I was trying to get ready for season 2, and like right when I finished 1, 2 came out like perfect timing. I got right through it and just ran right through both of them back to back. So it was great.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie did me proud in season 2. Really did
Certainly.
Well.
Yeah, no.
Please, no spoilers, but I anticipated Anthony Mackie doing well.
No, he certainly did. It was a great performance, although, I don't know, maybe it's just, getting the series getting used to it. But I liked the first Takeshi Kovacs, the actor's portrayal.
I love that guy.
It was great acting, but yeah.
I love that guy, but our producer, Jack Malice, got me to read those books, and you have to get used to characters having different faces.
Yeah, man.
Yep, that's it. That's what we got for who's on the cast this week. That's what they've been geeking out on. That's what they think you should be checking out and taking a look at. So let's start this cast out with a little game, and this is all about what's your geek knowledge. Two days ago, on its 20th anniversary, the PlayStation 2 is 20 years old. You guys feel old yet? Because I do after realizing that. So
that made me hurt in my heart, and you can see on the screen. If you're not listening to this podcast, you can't see it, but on the video, you can see how I feel about it.
Yeah, I felt very old because I remember when the PlayStation 2 came out, and so we figured, hey, we're geeks, we're nerds. Let's do a little bit of trivia on the PlayStation 2. So I went and found a PlayStation 2 trivia quiz. So we're gonna play our game of what's your geek knowledge. In what's your geek knowledge, each person, when they get their question, they have a chance at 3 points. If they can answer it without being a multiple choice, they get the option to ask for it to go to multiple choice, and that'll drop them down to 1 point for the question. They each get what's called a swoop, which means that if they think they know the answer, they can swoop it from somebody else and take it away and get the points themselves. And they each get a duh, which is basically that this question is so hard, they can throw it to somebody else and have that person try and guess it. And if they get it wrong, they get the points, vice versa type of thing. You guys understand? You get it? You know how the game plays?
Oh, you know I get it.
And thank you, Masonic Vader, for subscribing for 26 months in a row. And thank you for joining the cast.
Masonic Vader. Who is that?
He is a wonderful other host of this show that pops in every once in a while. We gave him a week.
I love you, Ken.
So I'm gonna skip the first question, but we're gonna go left to right. So Aaron, you're gonna be the first one. But the reason I'm gonna skip the first one is I already gave you the answer, which is what year did the Sony release the PlayStation 2? And if you count back 20 years, I'm sure you know.
Old, so
yeah.
If you can't do basic math, you deserve to lose.
All right. So first question, Aaron. The PlayStation 2 sold much faster than the original PlayStation.
That's true. Yeah.
Is it?
True, false? That it?
Yeah, I was going to say, is that a true or false? You didn't say that.
It's true. Yeah, yes or no, true or false.
You just said a sentence. You didn't put any.
Just the question, man. That's the quiz question.
Yeah, but you got to say true or false.
He said true.
I didn't say true.
Trail off.
You did say true.
Icy Zoro, how many PlayStation 2 units sold on the first day of release in Japan?
Oh, okay, that's wildly difficult. I want to say 450,000.
You know, you get multiple choice if you wanted it, but
let's do multiple choice. I mean, let's do multiple choice. You have
multiple choice is 10,000, 100,000, or 1 million.
100,000.
You're still wrong. It was 1 million.
Really?
Oh.
Bearded Master. What year did Sony discontinue the PlayStation 2?
I'm gonna go ahead and go with I don't even know. I stopped playing PlayStation 2 when Xbox came out. Have a year in mind. What's the multiple choice on that?
2013, 14, or 15?
I'm with 13.
That is correct.
Can I get a friggin' true or false on my next one?
I'm just going by how they drop, man.
No, and usually I win the shit out of these, so I'm okay with it.
Nudie Rudy, how many different PlayStation 2 games were available by January 2003?
I'll go for the multiple choice.
500, 1,500, or 2,500?
2,500.
It was 1,500.
1,500. Damn.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, indeed.
3 years into
Only
it.
3 years? Jesus.
Ron, how many games were ultimately released for the PS2?
Oh, God. I need the multiple choice.
3,000, 6,000, or 10,000?
10.
That's correct.
Yeah.
You guys got those swoops and those does too, just so you know.
Yeah.
I see Zoro. What is the best-selling game in PlayStation 2 history?
Multiple choice.
SSX Tricky, Final Fantasy V, or Grand Theft Auto San Andreas?
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
You got that one right.
Yep.
Or did somebody say swoop? I thought.
Yeah, it's too slow.
He was trying to, but I got in there pretty quick.
Oh, you mean the swoop? We can swoop in on the answer?
He took it.
Oh,
He
snap.
stole that. He stole your.
Grand Theft
He only gets
Auto
one.
was like
He only
the
gets
first
one.
You can't swoop if I answer.
He
That was
swooped
the
your
Yeah.
answer.
first time I remember standing in
Or
line like
you
at
can swoop
midnight to get.
you can swoop if I don't answer that quick.
Yeah, well, he said it while you were saying it. So, either way,
We'll leave it. I'll save my swoop. Okay,
you'll save it. Okay, we'll give it to IC then. We'll be nice, nudie. Okay. So, going to Bearded. What was the name of the X-rated minigame hidden in the GTA San Andreas?
Swoop.
What is it?
Hot coffee.
That is correct.
Nice.
Nicely done.
For the 3.
For the 3, yes.
This might be a trivia game I don't win.
Nudie Rudy. What was the best-selling game that Sony made for the PS2?
Multiple choice.
Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, Dark Cloud, or Extermination?
Dark Cloud.
It was Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec.
That was going to be my guess.
Yeah.
If there was a Tony Hawk game, I would have guessed that.
We'll do 2 more rounds. So, Ron, what was the best-selling PS2 game that didn't involve auto racing or auto theft?
Multiple choice.
Madden NFL 2005, Final Fantasy X, or SSX 3?
Swoop.
Oh, go for it.
Okay.
Final Fantasy X.
That's correct.
Yep.
And I see this is a swoop. All right, I see. Chance to double up. How many PS2 games were available when the system launched?
Multiple choice.
17, 23, or 29?
23.
So close, 29.
Yeah.
Bearded Master, PlayStation 2 could play Blu-rays. True or false?
False.
Yep.
That's true.
It's true.
Next generation.
It's the reason
No,
I bought the thing.
I thought I could play DVDs. I didn't know that one came out with Blu-rays yet.
No, you got the right answer. No,
Oh.
it was false. Yeah,
Oh, gotcha.
I'm saying true. You got the right answer. Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Nudie Rudy, what year did Sony release a slam down version of the PlayStation 2? Slim down version of the PlayStation 2.
Multiple choice.
2003, 2004, 2006.
2004.
6.
It was 2004.
Oh, really? Oh.
Getting on
Now
the
remember,
board.
you guys have a. This is the last round. You guys have a does. I'm assuming you all are going to use them since you can screw somebody else and make them take the point. Whatever.
Yep.
Aaron, what was the name of the webcam released specifically for the PlayStation 2?
The PlayStation Eye.
No. It was close. It was iToy.
Oh.
I see Zorro. Some PS2 buyers could watch Netflix on the PS2.
Is that a true or false?
It's a true or false?
That's a false.
It's true.
True, there was a disc.
No, come
for
on.
that. Yeah.
Oh,
It was a
God
disc.
damn it.
Put
That's
a
right. There
disc in,
was
yeah.
there was a thing in the back.
Could've
There was a
stole
whole
that one.
module that you
Yeah.
could put in to connect it to the internet.
No,
Damn
just
it.
a disc.
It was
And
a
the
disc.
PS2, no, it needed.
Bearded Master. So, which of these slogans were first used with the PlayStation 2? You're going straight to multiple choice. Sorry. You are not E. Do not underestimate the power of PlayStation or live in your world, play in ours.
Live in your world, play in ours.
Clearly.
Yep.
And last question.
No, that was 3 points because that was automatic. Right? Just saying. I only got one
only
option
3
on that.
points if you swoop it. There are rules. Pay attention.
Last question for Nudie Rudy. It doesn't matter. You guys are all losing anyways because Aaron got the. But Nudie Rudy, the last question. Come on. Which of these do you need to convert your PS2 into a PC?
I mean,
Give it a-
Do you want the multiple?
Sure,
the
why
question
not?
itself is
Software and
defined as a
keyboard?
multiple choice question.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
which
I know.
of these do you need?
If you
Come on.
know, hey, no, but there's people that will know it. That
I know.
There's nerds out there. Microsoft
I know.
kit, Apple kit, or Linux kit.
Linux kit.
That is correct.
Yep.
All right, so Aaron finished with 7. Icy Zero and Nudie Rudy tied with 2, and Bearded got 4. So
Congratulations, Aaron, on being the first person to ever in the history of this podcast beat me at a trivia game.
I'm the champion.
I'm gonna need you to sing the full song just in triumph.
You better pay them
No, I
points.
don't want to subject our viewers to that.
okay. Let's move on to the actual meats and bolts, nuts and bolts of this show, and that's the nerd news. Oh, I don't have a DD to add on to
You
there.
know what? Deli meat and hardware. Like, we're going to Kansas or we're going to Home Depot.
Okay. First story of detail, first story of note. More Star Wars stuff happened. Mainly Rise of Skywalker had its novelization come out.
Can more Star Wars stuff stop happening, please?
And in the novelization, there was more details given about the story. And let's start off with the one because we saw this rant and you guys didn't get to see it, so it'll be fantastic for me Aaron when he goes into it. Channeling his sister Super Hoovian Freak in terms of rants.
Oh yeah.
So it was made known in the novelization, and once again, spoilers here if you're going to read the book, but Palpatine, one, he's a clone. They confirmed it that the Palpatine that we see in Rise of Skywalker is a clone. But to put it even beyond that, Rey's father wasn't an offspring of Palpatine. Rey's father is a Palpatine clone, so technically she's not actually the grandchild of Palpatine. She would just be the daughter of Palpatine. Yeah, whatever. But
The daughter of his clone. So
of his clone.
seems
And
like
people have lost their minds. People are going nuts over it. So Aaron had. I'll let him go first before the rest of you guys give your little insights on how people are reacting to this.
It's our fault. I mean, not the podcast, but
thank you,
fans, because we dig for months and years. As soon as we hear about something getting released, we dig and we dig and we dig until everything's uncovered. We're going for spoilers, we're going for leaks, we're going for this, we're going for that, and we put the writers of these things. Yeah, all these theories, all of this, and by the time it comes out, everything is so exhausted. And somebody, somewhere, in some dark corner of the internet has gotten it right. So we put the writers of these, the writers that are trying to give us the things that we want, the things that we think we need, and trying to maintain their vision for this. We put them in a position where they have to pull ridiculous crap like this out of their asses just to surprise us still. So you go from one plot point to another plot point to another plot point to another plot point, and because we have just burned all of that, and we continue to burn it until it's completely just scorched earth.
Because the most ridiculous, iridescent theory has been on somebody's ass already. The writers go,
let's pull something completely out of left field, and let's make it work. And that's the point that we've driven them to. I mean, it blows my mind that people still want to complain about this and continue to force leaks and just spiral everything out of control for years after something gets just announced. I mean, a teaser trailer won't even come out yet, and we've got people in all corners of the universe going, what if this happens?
Oh, and amidst that universe, somebody has already guessed it.
Mm-hmm.
There's someone that's got it right and put it on the interview on the internet.
And it blows my mind that people still want to complain about all of this years after it happened, years after we've already burned every possible branch that we can get our hands on, looking for secrets, trying to be the first to know. And we want to complain that they had to freaking make this storyline where it's not a granddaughter, it's a clone of a clone of a clone, or a clone of a clone of a clone of a clone of a clone. I mean, we might as well take it all the way back to freaking Old Republic, and Palpatine has just been force growing clones for freaking.
Wait! We're missing a great idea here. We need multiplicity Palpatine right here. We need the dumbed down the clone of a clone of a clone.
And the entire time, it hasn't been the Palpatine we know. It's really been Michael Keaton.
Masonic Vader says in the chat room.
You made me spill my drink.
Masonic Vader says in the chat room, WTF Clone Wars Part 2. Jack Mouse says, huge Star Wars fan. He avoids spoilers. Masonic Vader also said, sitting in the corner with a sandwich halfway out of their mouth. Hey, I got an idea.
That's most of the Star Wars writers, yeah.
Beardy, did you have any thoughts on
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, completely agree with what Aaron's saying about that. You know, it is the fan base that really screws things over. We've seen it with every single franchise that we watched and we listen to and read. Lord of the Rings, I mean, Harry Potter for me. I mean, there's stuff that happened in the last two books of Harry Potter that was already known before it happened because of people digging deep and trying to make things happen.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I caught from the article was the fact that it's not like the writer just came out of nowhere and pulled this out of their ass. This is actually supposed to be the story, but was left on the cutting room floor. It was left out of theatrical release, and there was actually a scene that was explaining this reveal that's going to happen in this book. So, I mean, it's not like they rewrote something that wasn't already there, or they're changing things up, J.R.R. style. But they actually got left out to hang by Abrams also. They were given a story to write. They wrote the story, and then they left it on the cutting room floor, and then it screws over the book that's coming out, and that's what screws it all up. And I think that's what people should be more angry about, is the fact that the movie wasn't being held to the quality that the story was supposed to be at that point.
I'm gonna have to disagree at the fact that the movie spoiled the book, because there's a vast audience for one and a minuscule audience for the other.
Yeah, but it left details out. I mean, like, here's something that's in the book that everybody's been picking apart the book in terms of what the differences are. And there's one where everybody had the question mark of, what did Finn want to tell Rey? Well, it says in the book, the moment Rey came back to herself, Finn knew. He launched himself out of the turret seat. No one was pursuing them anyway. Climbed the ladder, sprinted for the cockpit. Chewie, I felt her. So in the book, they clearly let it be known he's force sensitive. Versus in the movie, the
movie, it came off like he was in love with her.
Exactly. So
I didn't see it that way. I knew. I mean, as soon as he said, he didn't say specifically, I felt her, but when God, I can't remember exactly when it was, but he knew how to find her. In one of the scenes, he knew it just instinctively, and I didn't think it had anything to do with love. And they even, like, before this book came out, I think that was one of the things that the writers acknowledged that they were originally going to explore further, but because of time constraints and because of Abrams doing his Abrams thing,
which is generally good.
They just had to leave that one thing behind. And I understand that. I mean, you don't have to, not everybody needs to be a Jedi, you know?
Yeah. Let's get the non-Star Wars fan, if he had any thoughts, because I know how much Nudie Rudy is totally against Star Wars. Do you care?
I'm sorry, did you say against?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm against it. I've watched pretty much every Star Wars franchise there is. I just think it's kind of pedestrian and predictable, and
it's exactly the hero's journey.
Western, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a little too black and white, not enough shades of gray for me. You know what I mean? It's just a little too
by the numbers, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I can see why there's a lot of people that the Star Wars universe and everything, it just doesn't have enough complexity for me, for my personal taste. You know, doesn't mean I look down, denigrate anybody who loves it, enjoys it, and it's a big part of pop culture. I'm still gonna watch them and enjoy it to the extent I can.
So would you prefer the novelization to the movie?
You know, I haven't read any of the Star Wars novels, so I couldn't really say.
Yeah, if you don't like the movie, why would you read any of the books? Are you not titillated a little bit by, like, incest in space?
I'll take my incest with dragons, thank you.
See, that is a valid critique. I prefer my incest with dragons rather than space.
But it's actual incest in Game of Thrones versus
instead of just
actual incest in Star Wars too.
They just consummate. They just kiss. They don't consummate. Yeah. So, but they don't realize. Okay, whatever. Let's get off this subject. Let's get on to the next major nerd news topic, and that's new details on TV shows that we're excited for, or movie, potentially series, something, whatever. Last of Us is being picked up and being worked on, well, as a series, not a movie, for HBO, and it's being done by the creators of Chernobyl.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you haven't seen the Chernobyl
not the actual Chernobyl explosion, the Chernobyl miniseries.
Hey, Aaron, I'm gonna need Aaron. I'm gonna need a composite of me and you going back and forth and going, oh yeah, that's so good. Oh God, yep, that's the right thing right there. Yeah.
If you haven't watched the Chernobyl series, you're missing out. It's phenomenal.
Well, and beyond that, beyond getting the creators behind that miniseries, they've actually got this is kind of cool. They have the writer and creative director of the game itself, Neil Druckmann, is involved to help.
Yes, they do.
And executive produce. Yeah. So it's not.
And let's be clear that the entire reason that Naughty Dog is a good gaming company is because their storytelling is unparalleled. Naughty Dog is the best storytelling gamer in the world, and Last of Us was one of the best of those. So I am nothing but excited. The fact that they're making a series out of this, like, if you could make a series out of any game, this would be my personal choice.
Yeah, and it has to be a series.
No, go.
It would not. There's no way that they could do this deep and amazing of a story as a 2-hour movie. There's no way. There would be so many nuances and so much left out that a 10 episode, hour-long per episode series, I can see that happening. I can see that working. And
make it a miniseries.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, Josh Callis says it's going to have high expectations. Of course. I mean...
I have one note. On casting, before we even get to it. Josh Brolin is Joel. There is no other choice. End of the list. Josh Brolin.
We'll get to that in a second. Bearded...
It'd be good.
Do you guys have any thoughts on HBO tackling this and getting some Emmy-winning creators to actually take on the reins?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I mean, I think that over the years that HBO's had a show every season that's kind of like, throughout the year that does well. But I think right now that like Game of Thrones is done, Ballers is done, all these other shows that have been carrying that brand for the last 5 to 7 years, they're all going away. And now they're not just like refilling and filling those spots with other shows, but they're amping up and adding the large catalog of new series to the program that people want to watch. And The Last of Us was definitely a game that I remember I put hours in on that game just because of how fun the story was. It kept you intrigued and wanting to play. It wasn't like some of these other stories that you get there and you just want to get through the stories and just want to play the game. You actually were paying attention to everything going on in it. And I think if they do it right, this could be a series, not even just a miniseries. This can actually be a show that takes on multiple series and does well. And I think it's going to be fantastic.
This is a 4-season show. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
What were you going to say, Nudie?
I think that the most encouraging part to me is the fact of the participation of the original creators, writers, the original studio. Like the fact that they have direct input, I think, is going to make it such more quality project, and really the depth of show storytelling. Again, it makes a massive difference to me that they're going to be so deeply involved with the making the story.
Yeah. No.
Ruru2 says Michael C. Hall as Joel, and no. That's a no. That's a hard no.
Definitely.
Let's get on to I agree. Masonic Vader, hey, another zombie show. Original. Did you play the game, Masonic? It's not.
It's not a zombie show. What are you talking about?
Play the game if you haven't played
show.
It is a fantastic. You will understand why you should be hyped for this after playing the game if you haven't played it. Josh Callis says HBO corporate has been getting out of its own way for the last decade, which is great for us as fans. I agree.
I was going to say, as long as they don't become EA or any of the other major,
God forbid, please no.
Any of the other major developers or publishers that have a nasty track record of just taking something beautiful, like for instance, BioWare. My gorgeous BioWare just is a train wreck now because of that type of corporate meddling that EA is just ludicrously famous for. So as long as HBO can stop from tripping over their own freaking dollar signs in their eyes,
been pretty good about that recently.
Yeah, they have been. Because they know.
As soon as I saw HBO and the original writers, I was like, yes.
Yeah, because they know. They know that the nerd market is a gloriously huge market.
So much.
Well, and the content is already there. Just so much content that, they don't have to Hollywoodize it when the deep, really good content is there for so many universes, franchises, IPs, whatever you want to say. Just let it speak for itself.
Mm-hmm.
I will be unsurprised when HBO buys Naughty Dog, because, like I said, Naughty Dog is the best in the game at storytelling. And when HBO wants to tell a really good story, they buy a bunch of shit from other people. So
I got my fingers crossed for Crash Bandicoot, the series.
Let me go back to the chat really quick.
Is that Ubisoft?
Let me go back. Let me go back to the
Dog.
chat. Let me go back to the chat really quick. Jack Malice says HBO got in their own way for the Game of Thrones final season. No, that was the creators trying to go do their Star Wars stuff that they were rushing through.
Benioff and Weiss.
Yeah.
Purely them dropping the freaking ball hard.
Yeah. Josh
love
Collins,
you, Diggin.
because we all know what HBO was like in the 90s. But this one pains me. This one hurts me. Masonic Vader. I got 15 minutes into it and got bored. Sorry. That first 15 minutes
Do
is the
you
most
even game, bro?
That's that first 15 minutes is like watching the beginning of Up. For that game.
It hurts my heart. I'm getting a little teared up. I'm sorry.
That's how you get people turned on to that game, is that first 15 minutes, that connection between Joel and his daughter.
Okay,
that pains me. That hurts me.
He means is that in the first 15 minutes, all you have to use is triangle to do anything.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so the gameplay is the story, bro. The story.
Okay, let's get into.
Don't give him too much crap. He's playing, Fortnite.
No.
Gaming.
You know
is
what?
No,
gone.
I will give him all the crap. This is the man that didn't watch Game of Thrones until we told him to.
I'm not giving any,
That's a good point.
I'm not giving any crap because everybody has their right to their opinion, and if he got bored with it, that's perfectly fine. It just hurt me.
Also,
it hurt me.
I love him. I love him, so I'm also not giving that crap.
Josh Goss, I really hope the COVID-19 kills EA because EA outsourced all game creation to China, so I hope the delay kills EA off.
Coronavirus.
EA.
That would be hilarious.
All right, let's get into so fan reactions to this series being made. Games Radar went and found people's casting opinions for who should play what. I'm going to give some of these. Just get your quick reactions on what you think. So, one, Nicola Costa-Waldau as Joel and Caitlin Dever from Booksmart as
Jamie Lannister.
Yes.
And the girl from Last Man Standing.
The girl from Last Man Standing and from Unbelievable on. She was also an Unbelievable on Netflix.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's a really good.
I think it would be phenomenal. I mean, because I've already seen Jamie be a broken man for a while, so I can see him filling the role of Joel very, very easily. Mm-hmm. And the girl, oh my God, that girl's acting is just unbelievable. She's so convincing. She's so emotional, and she's so good at what she does. I'd love that combination would be just amazing for me.
Okay, here's another one. I'm out on this one personally, but I do like the actor. But Hugh Jackman is Joel.
No. Actually, he was like my first choice to go that one. But then after, it's like we've already had that role with him and Laura in Logan, so it's like I don't really want to see him in that same role again.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
There is one choice for Joel. There's one choice for Joel. That's Josh Brolin. That is it. End of list.
I don't like Brolin as him. I don't.
As Joel, he is literally that guy. Look at him. It's
I
the
would
same
love
voice,
Josh Brolin.
same face.
That's like saying Ellen Page should play Ellie.
Why not?
I would love if Ellen Page played Ellie.
That would work for me.
Are you kidding me? That would be perfect casting.
Her face.
It pretty much is, yeah.
Considering Ellen Page hasn't aged since Juno, yeah,
True.
I think she can pull it off.
Right?
True.
She still looks and sounds exactly the same.
Another one is Sophia Lillis, who's from the It films. She was recently in I Am Not Okay as Ellie.
Meh.
Yeah,
But I could see Hugh Jackman can do anything, so he'd be good at it, even if it's not the film.
Jack Malice said Robert Pattinson for Joel just because he wants me to stab him.
Sonic Vader said Tom Welling as Joel.
Oh, God.
Also for stabbing purposes. I get it. You want me to stab you. That's fine. I'll be there in like a day or three.
As long as nobody says Nicolas Cage.
Ruru 2 says, well, you know it's going to
Son
happen
of a
now.
bitch! God damn it!
That's my first time. I've never done it before.
Ruru 2 says Josh Brolin isn't going to do TV unless Marvel writes him a $10 million check, but it's not Marvel doing it. So,
It's HBO, and he'll buy
And they will. And they will.
They write the big checks.
all right, Sadie Sink, who plays Max in Stranger Things as Ellie.
I could get behind that.
If we're gonna talk about looking like Joel, this is perfect.
Wait. Sadie Sink, I can get behind that. She would definitely fill the visual part, and she's a great actress.
Yeah.
What do you think, Bearded?
Nah.
Shaking his head. Okay, if we're talking about looking the part of Joel, I actually understand this one. I don't like it for the acting, but Gerard Butler is Joel.
I love it. I was waiting for you to see this one. I love it.
I love the look.
I love Butler.
No. Old Scottish silver and salt and pepper? No.
I don't think that Gerard Butler could bring the dramatic edge necessary to nail that role. He's very good at hard action, and he's very good at the over dramatic freaking soap opera 300 type stuff.
He's very good at rom-coms.
No, he's not. He's really not. I did not like him in any rom-coms. None of the romantic comedies I saw him in. I just no.
The truth, he was the only thing good about that movie.
No.
Kyle sucked.
For the action scenes, maybe he can be Joel's stunt double or something.
Okay. Masonic says, what about the girl from Kick-Ass?
Chloe Grace Moretz, abso-goddamn-lutely, yes.
Chloe should play every teenage female role, as far as I'm concerned. She's amazing.
Even though she's 23.
Well, she's 23, yeah, but she still can.
She's like Ellen Page, where she looks younger.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. I mean, she's like I love Denzel Washington. I love Denzel Washington like a freaking crazy person. She is the reason that I loved the original Equalizer.
Okay.
Even though she was in it for like 15 minutes.
Let's move on to another series in development. And that's Taika Waititi is working on a reimagining. He will write, direct, and executive produce 2 series of the Roald Dahl classic, Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, whatever you want to call it. But
please give it.
The only reason you could get me to watch that again is if Taika Waititi directed it.
Yeah, dude, he made Hitler funny.
Yeah, Jojo Rabbit is one of my favorite movies of the last 3 years.
And not only did he make Hitler funny, he played Hitler funny. The dude is amazing.
Have you seen What We Do in the Shadows?
So,
not the show, but the movie. It is a goddamn miracle.
Jack, I want to bring this up to Jack in the chat room. He said, I thought he was working on a Star Wars movie. Taika is now the new J.J. Abrams. He's working on everything. He's got his toes and his fingers in all little different types of things.
Because he made Hitler funny.
Personally, I had zero interest in seeing another Charlie and the Chocolate Factory after that Johnny Depp freaking horror.
Abomination.
Completely burned the series. Just don't do it again. But I do love Taika Waititi. I think he's perfect for it. And when I read that it's going to be new stories in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory universe and extensions and things, they're not trying to just remake the movie again. I'm on board 110%.
Yeah, it's a TV show. It's not making a movie, and it's animated, so it's not even gonna be the same caliber as the rest of them. Now, here's what I want. I want them to make it in the animation to come out looking like the Roald Dahl style animation. I don't want the new bullshit that they make, all these new animated cartoons that they keep updating and looking like crap. Because it's going to completely make me want to watch it. Make it look like Roald Dahl style, and I don't care who directs it. I am watching.
Yeah, modernized Yellow Submarine shit. That's what we need.
Yeah, screw your Uncanny Valley. Give me some James.
I was gonna ask. Bearded pretty much gave because here's the thing: we've read the books, we've seen the movies, but Bearded's the only one that I know of on this cast. Maybe somebody else that has actually gone to also see the Willy Wonka play. And
I have not.
Different.
I have the golden ticket behind my pops. They're blocked right now. But the play was absolutely amazing. It was fantastic. fantastic. And I love Willy Wonka, always have. It's always been my favorite series from Roald Dahl, every single book he has. That's the thing. Like, there's so much story to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that hasn't even been introduced into any of the movies. There's so much more to it than what we've seen. But that's what's so great about this universe, and the fact that Oompa Loompas. The cool thing, like in the Tim Burton version, is that we got some background to the Oompa Loompas. But the fact that we get like a story on it's kind of like what Universal did with Despicable Me. We got Despicable Me, and then we got the Minions movies.
Mm-hmm.
And the Minions movies are better than Despicable Me's. But they do it right. I think that a story with the Oompa Loompas and like that, I think that's gonna be great. I think that'll be entertaining.
Gonna see some Oompa Loompas in the green room waiting for their cue, smoking some cigarettes.
It'd be amazing.
You know.
Okay.
And, I mean,
back
that's
to the actual topic.
Shoot through the vacuum tube. Foom, foom, foom.
Oh,
Go ahead.
now I have the visual. Damn it. But Taika Waititi, like, okay, so in the comment section, Josh Callis says, "Come on, the best role Taika played is Kong."
Korg.
No,
Korg.
I'm sorry, Korg. Yeah. Then no, you've never seen Taika play anything else because
Korg is pretty fantastic, though.
Korg is fantastic. But if you've
He's
seen,
back.
but if you ever seen What We Do in the Shadows, if you ever seen Flight of the Conchords, even like the dude is goddamn amazing and everything
talented.
Korg is like Denzel Washington, the Equalizer, and he has like training ahead of it.
On the other side of it,
get all the way up to number 1.
On the other side of it, though, Josh Callis also said Waititi would kill it. Masonic's the one that's like, just leave Charlie and the Chocolate Factory alone. But he did like the make it in claymation, like the old Christmas specials. Is what he said.
I mean, most of us feel like leave Charlie and the Chocolate Factory alone because Depp just ruined it so hard.
And the chat always comes. So where we talk about Nick Cage on this cast all the time, where he gets referenced, the chat always comes back to Jack Malice asking why he can't get his Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes,
or reboot.
Please give me
because
Killer
it's
Clowns.
terrible.
And it's like one of my favorite like crappy horror movies. I love that movie. Oh God, I can sign up for a trilogy of Killer Clowns to come out.
You know what?
I love that movie.
Let's
I'm
make
gonna
it.
have to actually watch it.
Josh Callis, I guess you missed that. Korg sounds like every bouncer in New Zealand. Like, seriously, it's a huge voice acting job that's so on point. And we're back. Now we're to Killer Clowns from Outer Space and claymation. Really? That's
Damn you, Vader. How drunk is he right now?
Really drunk.
He's watching NXT, so he must be really drunk to get through that.
So, yeah, I think we're all on board for Taika Waititi tackling this.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
Love Taika.
And the only reason why I want a Charlie remake is because Freddie Highmore freaking screwed up Charlie. I hate that kid so much.
Oh, Good Doctor. Come on, he's not bad.
all right, so now it's time to put the thinking caps on, and this is where I just read what's the topic, and then I let Icy Zorro, Aaron, and Nudie Rudy, and Bearded Master, if he wants to talk about it, kind of go. But physicists think that they have found a new candidate for what makes dark matter. Since we all believe it exists, we just haven't been able to figure out what it is that makes it. Their new candidate is a recently discovered subatomic particle called a D-star hexaquark. And I always thought dark matter just came from the poo that was left behind by Nibbler from Futurama. That's where they got their dark matter.
It's super dense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. Okay. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Honestly, I don't know, because the dark matter conundrum has been something that has baffled me and baffled a lot of people who are 1,000 times smarter than I am for decades. And the fact that they would think that they've narrowed down what was it, a boson? No, it's not a boson. It's a
Higgs boson.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not the Higgs boson. It's
that was the closest we've come to figuring it out, right?
It's a hexaquark. So you've got 5 sided quark instead of the typical 3-sided that normally make up the
hex
protons.
6.
Yeah, hex is 6. Yeah, sorry. So it would make it 60% denser than the triquark make up the.
I'm with you. I've never actually understood what the hell they mean by dark matter. Like, there's matter, and then it's supposed to be 95% of everything, but we can't figure out what it is. What does that even mean?
It's dark because it doesn't interact with anything. Light doesn't bounce off it. Nothing.
Okay.
We can't measure it in any way. That's really why it's called dark.
Yeah.
Because you can't see it. You can't measure it. No type of electromagnetic radiation interacts.
Then how do we know it exists?
Because
of gravity.
Yeah, they
We
see
can
Because
measure
of the effects that it has on other things.
yeah,
Exactly.
gravity, light, all of that stuff.
But the reason it's dark is we cannot directly interact with it and measure it in any way. That's what
Well,
makes it
then I got to
so
go with the
fucking
Hitchhiker's
mysterious.
Guide to the Galaxy answer, which is that it is packing peanuts.
Amen.
Jack says dark matter is made by EA after they eat a great title.
EA doesn't make anything good, so that checks out.
Josh Callis, I think he said the word you were looking for was baryon. I think that's what he put in the chat. Sonic Vader said it's made from metachlorians.
Oh, nope. Hard no.
That's hard. Midichlorians.
Ruru2 says dark matter means something we can't detect, but it interacts with gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
You have a certain amount of observable and measurable mass in the universe, gravity and everything like that. You have the numbers crunched. And once you crunch those numbers, you only have about 30% of the mass necessary to create those numbers. So because you only have that 30%, there's got to be 70% of something. There's got to be something else that's out there that is creating that mass and that gravity and all of the things that we can observe. So once you get back around to it, they've used dark matter as a kind of cure-all placeholder for the things that they don't understand.
They said we have figured out a lot of science, and there's a lot of science we haven't figured out. So
Yeah.
over here,
that's the big thing with this is that they think that they found a new because they haven't been able to find what exactly could be the culprit to prove that dark matter is what dark matter is. They understand the hypothesis behind it, why it should be there, why it should, but they haven't. And this is now they think they found it. Now
and
we just have to waiting in to see if they're right.
And for an example of the measurable things they're talking about for the gravitational mass, how much we have versus how much we can measure the effect of it, it's things like how fast galaxies spin but don't fly apart because gravity's holding them together, or things like how much light bends when it's
exactly. No, I was going to say
like going around certain things. So those are the types of
things
about measure.
Exactly. I was about to say the things that we can measure are things like how much a photon will bend. Like science is good. Mm-hmm. The fact that we have this much stuff that we don't know means that there is stuff that is truly, I don't want to say unknowable, but not known yet. And we still need to search for that.
The more we know that we do not know.
The more you know.
21st century magic.
Ruru2 pretty much said the same thing. Producer, dark matter means something we can't detect, but it interacts with gravity. Josh Callis, dark matter doesn't interact with gravity, it creates gravity. He also said it's a term used as a placeholder, which is what the producer said. Masonic said, can't dark matter turn on the lights? Josh Callis in quantum mechanics, the term gravity is just a sort of filler for matter.
Gravity is a filler for No, he said gravity is a filler for i.e. mass, which is nope, I lost it.
Jack says the other name they used to call it was the God particle, but people didn't like it.
No, the God particle was
the Higgs boson.
Higgs boson.
Yeah.
Now, Josh also posted
creates gravity.
If you guys want to interact with us at any time, facebook.com/groups/all things nerd podcast. We drop what we're going to be talking about there to get thoughts from people that can't always be here. But Josh dropped a thing about it. He said it's an interesting hypothesis, but ignores a few things such as thermal variations. If the mentioned cloud, Debarion's cloud of debris, then the increase of mass would generate gravity, which in turn is what showed them something should be there in the first place. So if gravity is present
and midichlorians
condensed enough, then by what we know currently, then heat would be generated by friction of those particles. So the real question for me is, if they are cooled to almost absolute zero, then how do they not simply heat up and then change form like most particles? I don't know. I've been out of uni for a long time.
Was this in our
this is in our
commentary?
Yeah, this is in our Facebook on the topic, and haven't stayed relevant on all the new stuff. Just me rambling on with my understanding of quantum mechanics and cosmology. So I mean, there's more stuff in there. It just I thought it was an interesting point that he had.
That was in our Facebook? Because I'm going to need to go there.
Yeah, that's on our Facebook.
Maybe the hexaquarks that they're finding now are thermophobic. That's why. Maybe they can't absorb heat.
Thermophobic.
Well, yeah. That's
okay.
an actual term. Well, or
No, it is right.
And
no, I understand what it means.
You've got super hydrophobic things that they've created on this planet. So
that's what they said. Well, the V-star hexaquarks are interesting because they're bosons. That's what you were saying before.
Yeah.
So,
it's possible they don't. It's possible that they just don't act the way that we assume that all particles in the universe do. And I think that's obvious considering we have no idea what the hell they're made of.
Well, it says they're known as the fifth state of matter. These condensates forms when a low density gas of bosons is cooled to just above absolute zero. At that stage, the atoms in the gas go from their regular wiggling and jiggling to quite still, the lowest quantum state possible.
I'm sorry.
So maybe once they get low, they stop.
I was unaware that we had isolated bosons. I thought that was like a.
That's why this is so great. That's why they're looking at this and going like, "Hey, I think we found what could create what actually would."
That's amazing.
Eureka! We finally hit on why we're talking about this.
I'm behind. I'm sorry. What? That's an amazing discovery. Holy shit!
Take a shot. Maybe you'll get more.
All right.
Anybody else have any other thoughts before I move on to somebody's got to talk about it?
No, I think I've overshot my intellectual limit tonight.
You good, Nudie?
I'm good.
Bearded?
I'm good.
Whenever Nudie comes on, I make sure to get that big, hard-hitting science story because I know how much he likes talking about it. So
No,
I try to find a good one. So because yeah, all I can do is read the article to these guys and then have them explain it to me. Okay, so somebody's got to talk about it.
We need to talk.
You talking to me?
Oh my God! Who told you?
Have you told anyone else about this?
What you talking about?
Look who's talking.
These are the odd stories, the weird stories, the strange stories that somebody's got to talk about. This one, not so odd, not so strange, not so weird, because everybody's talking about it. And we figured even if we're a pop culture nerd and geek pop podcast, we might as well talk about it because it's invading the nerd culture, geek culture, and pop culture world. The coronavirus. The coronavirus has now pushed back James Bond, No Time to Die, to a November release date because mainly the fan sites were like, we can't have the movie release during this outbreak.
That's not why. That's not why.
That's what what the fan site said.
Because the Chinese market.
The Chinese market, and because the title of the film is literally No Time to Die, so they don't want to take it.
That's true. That's true.
That could be part of it. Yeah, but no, what was going on was they said it was going to hurt their numbers as well. It was with the fan sites that started it up first.
Oh yeah,
anytime a film gets released anywhere, the Chinese market is literally about 4/6 of it. So if no one's going to the films in China, that film's not getting released.
No, it's not. That's the literal safety net for most studios is that if it doesn't do well domestically, at least it'll do well in China.
But here's the thing as well. Back to November, not like well, they pushed this back half a year. And then on top of that, conventions are being ECCC, the Seattle Comic Convention just postponed their whole convention because of this. Well, the Dubai convention was like, screw it, we just got hand sanitizer. Let's go.
Yeah. I literally was about to go to the Seattle convention. I was going to go meet our friends, as soon as I logged on to get tickets, they were like, oh, this convention was canceled 47 minutes ago.
They just canceled South by Southwest today.
Yeah, South by Southwest got canceled today too. And Jack says it's intelligent to postpone anything that brings large groups of people together. But here's the fear beyond what could end up happening with this, but how big is it going to get? You think it'll affect things like Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con?
Okay.
It already completely tanked the entire Chinese economy.
Yeah.
And that's just what could come.
If you do the math about what it could potentially infect and the death rate from that, it is literally about 90 million people. Like if it infects the world, but that's not realistic. If you look at the actual numbers, we're looking about 300,000 people are going to die. But I mean, that's less than the actual flu.
I mean, yeah, less than
happens every year.
And I saw some.
Not this year. The flu's actually outpacing the coronavirus this year.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that. And I saw a screenshot of somebody's tweet earlier that we're freaking out because 300 or 3,000 people have died so far from the coronavirus, but there's 15 million people that will die from not coronavirus, from heart attacks this year, from heart disease, and
how about
we're the nation
car accidents or gun violence or cancer?
But we're the nation that literally took fried chicken and sandwiched it between two donuts, and we're feeding that to the populace when heart disease is killing.
Which was delicious and made me feel like I was going to have a heart attack right then.
Yeah.
And heart disease is not stopping conventions from happening or movies from coming out. So
yeah, there's a difference between lifestyle choice.
Each other. The thing that's making this to be is the fact that coronavirus is going to spread as easily as it is, and the fact that it can stay basically as contagious as it can be for as long of a period of time.
Okay.
External.
Listen, do you remember SARS? Do you remember SARS? Did SARS affect you?
Did not.
Did SARS actually hurt you?
I'm not.
Same shit. I am literally 2 days from now about to fly to Seattle, which is the center of this virus outbreak. I'm going to be there for 2 weeks. You know what? I'm not scared.
No, and that was the point.
I'm going to wash my hands. I'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm not with all that. I'm just saying the reason why it's becoming what it is because of how fast it spreads and how quickly it's at 3,000 people in 2 months. That's the difference, and that's what they're going off of that. Now, the only thing that I'm concerned about is the fact that I'm flying to Tampa in 3 weeks for WrestleMania weekend and the week, and there's already talks about you talk about all the conferences already closing down. There's already talks about them potentially canceling some events around WrestleMania. And I'm sorry, there's shit that I spent 6 months ago to get out there.
Okay,
and
no. Let me say real quick. I was about to buy tickets to Emerald City Comic-Con to meet our friends of the show, people that listen to the show and that support the show, the Nerd Life Crisis. They were going to be at the Emerald City Comic-Con. I was like, yeah, I'm going to Seattle. Might as well see them. As it turns out, the whole thing got, postponed.
Canned.
Yeah. Well, not canned. It got postponed to mid-June, I think.
Yeah, and there's all types of comments in the chat, too. Rue 2, flu killed 80K this year in the US, probably millions worldwide. Josh Callis, reality is everyone is going to get it eventually. The only people at risk are people over 70, anyone in weak health, i.e. diabetes or heart disease, and compromised immune disorders. Rue 2,
Not true.
Yeah, it's there's so much different speculations on all this stuff. It's just this is the first time in a long time that you've seen something that affects
a lot of people with those health characteristics have died. Just wash your hands a lot, please.
That's the big thing. That's the main thing that we're doing this. This is why we're doing Somebody's Got to Talk About It. Wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. Fully wash them. just wash them.
With warm water and soap, not just cold water.
Tell yourself the legend of Dark Plagueis the Wise.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Twice. Do it twice with soap.
Actually, I learned that they figured out the perfect song to wash your hands to. And it's Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. Sing
not the whole thing.
God damn it. I knew you were going to do that. I fucking heard it. Damn it. I knew it was coming. I listened to that song today. I was like, God damn it. Mess is going to bring this up today. Damn it.
So, yeah.
Carry on.
That or just say every single Nick Cage quote that you can think of in your head. There's so you know what? Actually, that is the perfect timing for washing your hands. Just name every single Nick Cage movie on IMDb, and
you'll be there for 3 hours. Off your hands that way.
God damn it! No.
But no jokes. Just wash your hands, guys.
Don't even wash your hands.
And don't touch your face.
Don't listen to any of that.
As I wipe my eyes.
No, but actually do it. Listening to those, please. Yeah. Please wash your hands.
Oh, Rue 2 starting the song. When I was a young boy, my father... Okay, that's it. That's the cast.
Took me into the bathroom to wash my hands.
Took me into the bathroom.
And son, when you grow
God
up,
damn it.
You'll use the soap.
Stop.
Okay.
That's a Catholic song.
Wrong father.
Oh, okay. That's the cast this week. Let's talk about where to follow everybody outside of this cast. Aaron, where can people follow you?
All right, so I'm Das Newport Kid in the chat room right now, and I am also Das Newport Kid on Twitter, Instagram, PlayStation Network, and Xbox Live.
I see Zorro.
I'm at Icy Zorro on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook Live, or not Facebook. What's it? PlayStation Live. Yeah, you know what I mean.
The Bearded Master.
I know what the whiskey means.
You can find me at Bearded Master on Instagram and Twitter, as well as Boot to the Face and on Twitter and Boot to the Face _ on Instagram. Both of them utilizing the number 2.
And Nudie Rudy.
You can follow me at Nudie Rudy on Instagram, on Twitter, and on PlayStation Live.
If you are enjoying this podcast, wherever you're listening, please make sure to subscribe, make sure to drop a review, make sure to tell one friend about us and that you think would like the show as well. And if you want to be a part of it and you're not here live listening to it, twitch.tv/Malice Corp every Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Eastern. Come join us, and you can interact with us anytime on facebook.com/groups/all things nerd podcast, and check us out on our website, malice-corp.com. If you want to interact with me on Twitter at @mest_malicecorp or on Instagram at mest5150. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next Friday, and keep nerding on.
Peace out.